Greetings and welcome to the August Founder Zoom. We're very happy that you're all joining us. Good evening to everybody from all around the world who's watching this. It's hard to believe it's August of 2025, but here we are. It is here in the United States, the middle of the end of the summer. We're approaching. We're almost going to be in fall. And David, I'm joined as always by David Brown, my partner. And for those of you who are new, David and I do this Zoom on the 15th of every month. And David, I think we've done this Zoom every month for the last several years. It seems like an infinity that we've done. Well, sometimes it feels like we just started to do these, and other times it feels like it's been a couple decades. But we do this Zoom on the 15th of every month. And on the Zoom, we like to share a little bit about what's coming around the corner and some of the highlights from the previous month. And so, given that we're in August, we're going to talk a little bit about July. David, how's it going? How is Utah? Is it still hot? Is it cold? What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, Ryan, it's great to be here with you. Hello, everyone. Yes, we are in what some people refer to as the dog days of summer. August is coming along, but actually, this no dog days this year. I mean, this has been a very eventful summer. It's going by so fast, as you mentioned, and I think that July is Exhibit A of that because we've had the great meeting in Monterey where we were joined by more than 1,500 of our closest friends and distributors. We had great presentations. We had Brooks Hybertson from Pathways Biosciences stand up on stage and reiterate what he said, I don't know, 7 years ago, when he said that genomics was the most potent Nerf2 activator in the world. And he reiterated that in Monterey. That's pretty exciting. We launched a new video. I'm not sure if everyone's seen that kind of traces the evolution of Nerf2 technology through Dr. McCord and Pathways and Dr. Hybertson, culminating really in genomics and our cutting edge science that sometimes we take for granted a little bit, but I think we've kind of, with new groups coming in from China and from the Philippines and other countries, and certainly new groups coming into, in Mexico and the United States and other markets that are hearing and seeing about epigenetics for the first time. It's kind of fun to get recharged, and as this summer draws to a close and we enter into the fall where school starts for kids, and I've always kind of viewed the fall as the new year because we get kind of in tune with the school year, and so it's a fresh start, and there's lots of exciting things happening. So that's a long answer to a very short question, but there's lots of cool stuff going on at ACTIVZ.
Yeah, no, there really are some great things going on. Our last event, like you point out, was incredible. It was we had a historically high number of people. We had yeah, I mean we were close to 2,000. We were, we had it set for 1,500 people, and it was cool to be up on stage and just see people standing all around the back of the walls
Yep.
and in the back of the room. And it was also neat to have Dr. Hybertson there, and it was kind of almost like going full circle after our first seven-year cycle of not having him with us at an event, and to reiterate the important really the role that genomics plays, and not only its level of potency but its efficacy, and why Nerf2 activation matters, and why it really is a big part of the future of wellness with regards to all things epigenetics. So that was great. What anything stand out to you, David? Any give a couple of your maybe your favorite standout moments from last month.
Well, one of the things is that, as some people know, this year got off to a bit of a slow start for us here at ACTIVZ and for many groups. But July, that sometimes for many companies is really, the midsummer months can be kind of tough. It was a great month. We showed some really strong growth. We have, like I mentioned, some of these new groups in Asia that are coming and joining us. Those are certainly highlights that are hitting the ground running. And I think that ripple effect that is occurring because of their excitement is being felt in Mexico, is being
Yeah.
felt in the United States. That's what's really, it's that classic rising tide lifts all boats. And I think people are being reminded just what we have here at ACTIVZ. And it's easy, I think, over time to kind of get to lapse into a bit of a, I don't know, taking things for granted type of attitude, or get into a bit of a rut. And I think it's great when new people come in and just kind of shake us up a little bit. And so I think that July was a month of getting shaken up And with
Yeah.
apologies to Taylor Swift, we won't shake it off. We will shake it up, and we will
Oh
we'll move
boy.
forward. I probably shouldn't have said that. People are like, "Well, that was weird, Dave." It
I'll
was
say
very,
this:
you know.
you're gonna my daughters might become your biggest fans here in a few minutes if you keep talking like that, David. Yeah, no, I agree that it's great to have new groups, new teams, new leaders coming into the company, and it really is a testament to me always that that we are in the right place at the right time. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we get so accustomed to talking about who we are, what we have, that we're not aware of how novel we are. And so, some of these new teams coming in from other new countries around the world is really a testament to the importance of epigenetic technology, which is our foundation, which is, foundational to to our company, frankly. And that's exciting. I know that all of you distributors, you know that, you believe that, but remember how novel that message is. And while you might get used to talking about it, the person with whom you're speaking, they've never heard that before. In fact, I would dare say that anybody could walk out of their house, their city, state, country, wherever you are, talk to 100 people, and maybe one person may tell you, I've heard that word before, epigenetics, but no one's going to really rattle off and tell you what it is. So that is a huge opportunity for each one of you, for each one of us here in Actives, to go to really bring this technology to the marketplace. That is always what has made such a unique value proposition and such a great opportunity. So I'll say this: one of my favorite moments, it really was at the event. It was great to be there and to reconnect with a lot of our leaders and so many new people, David, at that international event, who, speaking for myself, I had never met. And this constant influx of new people who are hitching their wagon to Actives, whether as a customer or as a distributor. Um, a highlight of One of the highlights of my month, also I'll share with all of you. I did an interview a few weeks ago. I think this was still in July, with a she's an A7 or an A9. I'm sorry, I think she's an A7 from a city called Delicias. Her name is Vianney Pettis, and she had the highest number of raffle entries for the month of July, right? So it's the end of July when I talked to her. And I interviewed her on a big Zoom with about 750 people on it, Latinos in action, we call it. And I asked her how did she do that? And she's not a seasoned network marketing vet. She doesn't have experience in um, in sales. She just graduated with a degree in international business, which has very little to do with sharing epigenetics. And I think she joined us when she was 22, and I think she's now 24 years old. And she talked about how excited she is to be in Actives and to share it with people her age, to share it with not millennials, but Gen Y and young people who don't think that they really can find their place in today's marketplace and get a job. And I've seen her qualify for just about every incentive trip we've ever done. She's always there. She's always at all of our meetings. She used to be Sandra Fierro, who's an A13 of ours. She used to be her assistant. Sandra hired her to help her, um, get back to people. And VNA ended up signing up, and now she's building her own business
Well,
and is
that's
doing
great.
quite well, and so well that she enrolled more people in the month of July than anybody else. And she participated in our July raffle, which, for those of you who missed it, last month we raffled $5,000 to 10 people. So she was one of our $500 winners. And it also means that every single one of those entries is going to count for our November raffle, when we raffle a car and a quad and some bikes and some scooters and things like that. So, anyways, but what she talked about, and this is why I'm sharing the story, is she said, I was intimidated to start my own business when I was just 22, and now she's the ripe old age of 24. And she said, but what I learned is that I can do it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to get in. You just have to learn just the basics. You don't have to master everything. Just learn a couple features, a couple benefits about the products, how to make money, not the full compensation plan, but just how do I make my first check? She said, that's what I learned. And then I got to work. And when she did that, she immediately started to have success. And now she's really, leading by example, I would say, in being the our top raffle entry winner for the month of July. And so that David stands out to me as one of my highlights for July. Because I just thought it was really powerful what she talked about. You know what? I also really liked. I liked all the presentations on stage this year, this July. I really loved Luis and Jessica Molina's presentation. They gave a presentation as a couple for those of you who missed it, and they talked about their past and their background and how challenging it is to be a young family. It's they've got a few kids and make ends meet. They talked about how when they got started, they didn't have a refrigerator. They had to go next door or to their parents' house to use their refrigerator. And it was a very emotional presentation. And, I don't think there was a dry eye in the room listening to the story, but listening to how, and I remember when Jessica Molina sent me a WhatsApp message with a picture of a refrigerator years ago when she said, thank you. And thanks to ACTIVZ, we were able to go buy our first refrigerator. So they told that story, and they told the story of how their life has changed. And today he's an A8 and she's an A12, uh, 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 and really their lifestyle is completely different than what it was when they started. But I loved that presentation. I loved that presentation at our July event, and again, is just further testament that we're in the right place at the right time if you want to really make a difference financially in your life, and not only in terms of your health. The studies and the anecdotes of improved health are just incredible, and they're really off the charts. But also, so are the stories of people improving their lifestyle, their financial well-being. And so, those are the two barometers by which I measure whether or not I'm in the right place at the right time. And so we really are. And those were the highlights for me in July. So, David, back to you. We're obviously in August. We have big things coming up. We have the fall coming up. We've got our 8-year anniversary coming up in November. But what are some things that you're looking forward to that you're excited about?
Well, I'm looking forward to a number of things as I'm listening to you talk about those stories of those people at the event, and it just reminds me that the ACTIVZ tent is big enough for everybody. You have people who are just new graduates from college and don't have any experience, and their prospects might not be as great as they had hoped when they started college, to a young couple who are also getting going, and things are a little rough. And then I think about Shelley Zhang, our new Chinese A12 who became an A12
Yeah.
in 2 months. She's a successful businesswoman already in
Mm.
Maryland. She has a medical spa and doing well. And you might say, well, why is she doing this? Because even as a successful business owner who has many prospects, she sees and understands the business opportunities of having residual income.
Yeah.
And she talks about how in China, for example, the economy is not doing well, and everyone is just like many college graduates are just like this young woman. They're graduating from college and they have no prospects
Mm.
because there's no jobs. And so we don't hear about that very often. We just think, oh, well, China, they must have lots of money or whatever. It just
Right.
reminds me how basically we're all the same, no matter where we live. We could live in the United States, we could live in Mexico, China, Philippines, whatever. We all have the same dreams. We have many of the same challenges, just wrapped up in in different boxes. And I think it just reminds me that ACTIVZ is not everything to everyone, but it can be something for everyone, and it can be a big part of their lives. And we really are a vehicle to better health, to more financial freedom. And I look forward in the upcoming months as we introduce new things. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we got some exciting things that we as corporate are working on to actually make it even easier for people to build their business and to move forward and to spread the word about epigenetics and financial opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing those things come to pass and how people respond to that. I'm looking forward to, you know, I guess I sound like a broken record. I just love hearing these new stories or stories of new people joining. I like hearing the stories of people who have been here for a while and kind of wondered if they really are going to ever make it, so to speak, the way that they want to. And then they kind of decide that if they're going to make it, they probably better do some things a little bit differently. And then they create new stories and how that through that process that they have experiences and opportunities that they may have never imagined that they would have. I mean, let's face it, Ryan, that's really the best part of our job, listening to those
Yeah.
stories and being a participant and being part of becoming a part of a family's history and
Yeah.
lore by virtue of ACTIVZ and the things that people are able to do as they grab onto it and run. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to.
Right.
It's going to be fun. Right after this talk tonight, we are going to get ready and go to Cabo in a couple of days, and that's going to
Yeah.
be fun to see everybody there, and uh, and so that's going to be great. But I think just waiting to see the new stories that appear, that's what I'm really looking forward to the most.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. There is nothing better than a great story from someone you care about, and they share with us great stories all the time. We need to figure out a better way to start gathering all these stories and showcasing them so that everybody can see them. We'll start a campaign on social media, but talking about stories. There's also a story, and it's something that I'm very excited about. I'm excited about where this year is going and what's going to be happening, culminating at the end of the year at our November event. But we often we tell the story of there's individual stories, there's the company story, there's also what is our industry story. And sometimes, we scrutinize and feel like, hey, working for myself, being an entrepreneur, or being in the direct selling industry as a distributor, we're being scrutinized. But what's interesting is I pulled up some numbers here recently, and I'm just going to look at my screen here. But last year, 2024, the story of the direct selling industry was quite a story because it's a 220, almost a $224 billion a year industry. This is global. $224 billion transacts every year through this last year, 2024, in the network marketing or direct selling industry. That's forecasted to grow by 6.7% annual compounded growth, right? Now we're 2025, so just 5 years from now, 2020, 2030, it's supposed to grow by another $100 billion in size. It's kind of like a new industry is being launched today, and you're all part of it. So, by 2030, it's forecasted to be at close to $330 billion, $328 billion in size. And I always ask people this, and I think this is a good question for you all to answer, rhetorical, of course. What piece of that growth you need to be able to retire? What piece of that that $330 billion industry, but a new 100 billion is going to be created between beginning of 2025 to 2030. How much of that do you need, right? And where do you sit in that industry expansion? Now, interestingly enough, in the network marketing industry, this is another part of the story that I'm excited about, David. The biggest part of the story of the direct selling industry is the nutrition and the wellness category, which is the largest portion of that, 35%. Everything else makes up a smaller portion, but the wellness and nutrition supplements is the largest piece of that. And inside that wellness, you have epigenetics. Most of the world has never heard of epigenetics, but let me tell you all real quick the story of epigenetics and the epigenetic industry. Today, it is a $15 billion global industry. It's really not very big when we think about the size of the world, right? But it is growing rapidly. It's growing by almost 16% a year. And by 2030, it's forecasted to be at $61 billion. So imagine an industry going from 15 billion to over 60 billion now in what is just 5 years from today, right? What piece of that pie do you need, right, to be able to retire, to be able to live well? Because in business, you look for growth markets, you look for opportunities that are unique and novel and growing. We at ACTIVZ, each one of you, are uniquely positioned not only within the direct selling industry and the nutrition category, the 35% of this what will be a $230 billion industry. But epigenetics, there's nobody else talking about epigenetics. Only ACTIVZ is. That is sort of the stake that we've planted in the sand. Our foundation of the company is epigenetics. We have the most um, credentialed formulators in the industry. There is no other scientist that can even come close to who we have behind our products and our product story and the our epigenetic technology. So you all need to remember that how novel that is, and ask yourself every day as you build your business, as you find customers, as you talk to your neighbor or other people maybe who are trying to start a business or who want to you know fire their boss and start their own opportunity, their own business. Ask them what piece of that expansion do they need to be able to live well? Because I'll tell you what, you don't need even 1%. You don't even need 1% of 1% to do well. You just need to get started today, start sharing, knowing that the demand by virtue of going from $15 billion to $60 billion in epigenetics just now in 5 years, that the demand for our products is going to go through the roof. And they're only going to be able to find them through us here at ACTIVZ. That unique opportunity is something that story, David, is a story that I'm very excited about. Of course, I'm very excited to hear new stories of our distributors this coming November, and we're going to be launching. I'm gonna be I'm not a little hyperbolic here, but a game changer this coming November. So you guys got to make sure that you're at that event. We're going to be launching something that I believe is going to throw open the doors of every household in every market that we do business. And I'm very excited about that. And it will be really a fulfillment of our mission, David, to meet people where they're at. So these are things I'm excited about. And before I let the cat out of the bag, I'm going to stop talking right now. But I'll just say I want to remind everybody that we really are. Each one of you really is in the right place at the right time. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, right? Think about how this industry is growing. Just in closing, real quick, I was talking to my sister-in-law the other day, who is she works with senior centers, senior homes, convalescent homes, which is, baby boomers, they're getting older, right? 70 million people here in the United States, a huge group of people, and there's a lot of need to take care of seniors. And we're talking about growth industries, and then we started to talk about growth industries, and I started to talk about epigenetics, and really, the light bulb started to go off, and it really was a reminder to me that I am in the right place at the right time. But it will avail me nothing if I don't do anything about it. And it will avail you nothing if you don't do anything. I'm not talking to you, David. I'm talking to the people listening. You too, David. So guys, let's get out there. Let's share. Let's remember what we have in our hands. Let's honor it. Let's honor the hundreds of millions of dollars of research and development that have gone in to our the eventual formulation of our products, and let's share them with the world. Let's share what epigenetics is, right? Let's share the opportunity to be able to work for yourself from your home, from your car, from your phone. And guys, if you do that, you'll get to where you want to go. You'll be retiring a lot faster than you otherwise would. And guys, that's it for me. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for being on. David, you got the last word.
Well, I'm excited about all the things you said. It reminds me of when we talk about our products and the science. I often say, you don't have to believe me. This information's out there. You can find out yourself how important NRF2 activation is, how important butyric acid is, and so on. And people can find out what you just said is true, Ryan, in terms of what the industry growth is. In Monterey, one of the things that Dr. Hyperson talked about was the growth, for example, in the number of studies on Nerf2 activation.
Right.
Just by looking at that, you can see, wow, I really am on the cutting. I'm involved with a company that's on the cutting edge of science. I'm involved in a company that's part of a burgeoning industry that's growing like crazy, both on the epigenetic side and just in the overall nutrition and wellness side. And so, as we think about exciting things we'd like to be part of, we hear about artificial intelligence, we hear about technology, we hear about all these type of things, but we're not always positioned to take part and say, man, that'd be really cool if I could do that or if I could do this. Well, guess what? You are part of a great movement that is kind of like we talked about at the very beginning. Maybe we sometimes take it for granted. So I would just say at the very end of this call, remember what got you excited about ACTIVZ in the first place. It hasn't changed. In fact, it's gotten better. And so go back and revisit those things and share those things with other people. And let's hear about your story and theirs. So, on that note, Ryan, thanks. It's great to be with everybody. And we'll look forward to talking to you next month.
All right. Thanks, David. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye bye.